going on, guys? Coach Kodo here. We're in Krasnodar. We just finished week one of our massive tournaments, and we flopped. Like, we struggled. We dropped the bundle, and we've done a huge review process here, and it's come down to team culture. Well, it was a big component, and communication was a huge component. And for me as a coach, it's opened up a few barriers in experiences and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that I've realized is, communication's great. I'm a big advocate for communication, as you all know, and it's really, really important to find ways that get across to the other people, like who you're trying to communicate with. And, we've done this previously, and this chat's not about communication. This chat is about aligning the process, okay? Now, as an individual, everyone plays the game and everyone coaches for success. That's why you play. Like, yes, it's fun, but winning's fun. Like, at the end of the day, no one likes to lose. No one likes to lose. You have to, but no one likes it. So how do you align the process of trying to achieve? Now, this is, for me, an interesting new topic to go through, and it's really come about I guess it's time to learn this. It's not something you can easily identify, because normally you have a standard of player who, through communications and experience, can relate. But what happens when you don't have that? What happens when you've got guys from different backgrounds, different communication styles, different languages, different upbringings, different sports? How do you create that alignment? And, it's really interesting, because you'll get a lot of coaches sit there and go, well, you've got to get everyone on the same page to start off with, and you've got to do, A, B, C, D, which is all the normal shit, which is fine, because that's great. That's what you got to do. But how do you constantly develop that? How do you develop that process where guys are learning that once they're on the same page and that page needs to turn, how do they stay on the same page? Because every footy game and every sport has decisions in it. And a team's ability to think the same way about ranking their options is probably one of the most important things that can go around. I hear it all the time. Guys talk about Cam Smith, Dan Carter, a lot of the greats in both sports around their decision making. Darren Lockyer was great at it. JT, for me, and Cam Smith are probably the greatest components of decision making that I've ever seen play the game. How they make decisions, how they build certain components in the game, and what they do. Now, does it always work for them, or why does it work more for them and not others? And I believe that it comes down to this component of aligning yourself on the same page through the process of what you're trying to achieve. And a prime example is, you'll watch Cam Smith play the game and direct the traffic 3 plays before he's trying to exploit someone. He'll see a hole, and a lot of inexperienced guys will go, okay, we've seen the hole, let's go straight to the hole. But the hole's chance of success might be 60% yes, 40% no. But if you play 2 more plays, A and B, those chances actually go to 80-20 success. Do you attack the 60-40, or do you build to the 80-20? Well, now that you put it that way, everyone's stupid if they say, oh, go for 60-40. No, well, you'd actually use your 2 plays and go to 80-20. But how do you align a group of individuals to kind of see the same things and think the same way? Where you've got a game with fast fire decisions, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, you should hit here, or you should have switched, or you should have passed, or you should have done this. You shoulda, coulda, wouldas is footy. So how do you get a group of individuals to think along the same lines, to see that same hole? First is to identify the hole. Secondly is to communicate in a manner on whether or not it is, yes, let's attack now, or let's exploit it later. That's probably the biggest thing, is being able to go, let's have patience in our job rather than trying to rush through and panic. And that comes from aligning the same process. Someone sees the hole and goes, fuck, let's take the hole. Another guy sees the hole and goes, man, if you drag him, the hole's 2 times bigger. Do you understand, guys? And people who know footy know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like relationships. When you meet someone, everyone wants to go, oh, hey, I've got this great idea. But if you spend 2 extra weeks or a month getting to know them, you might actually find that that great idea goes 2 layers deep with that individual, and you've actually got some synergies. Like that's how it works. It's building the relationships. And in games, you've got to have this build of kind of relationship with the decision making around the team, especially in attack and defense. It's so important to understand that every action causes a change in momentum, either adds on positively or detracts negatively. So how do you get a group of individuals to constantly understand that, okay, if we just do this, momentum goes up. But if one of us does this and the other one does this, we sit there and stay status quo. If one of us goes a little bit this way and someone makes a big decision that way, we're going negatively. Like, that's momentum. And it comes from aligning the process. So it's something that I'm, doing a lot now with my guys here, and I've spoke with a fair few guys back in Oz and also in New Zealand around this. And it's really interesting because I had a good chat with my mate Zane Dempster the other week, and it really kind of ticked this off in my head of something to do, because he spoke about it from a basketball text that guys will run plays 20 times to create that one opportunity that's going to make it all open up again. Okay, so that's what we need to do. We need to go and learn how to play a little bit more basketball style, in the sense to kind of create the long game. And how do you get a group of individuals doing this? Well, the biggest one for me is communication. Communication is really important, but it's how you're communicating, it's what you're communicating. And then the second thing for me, I guess, is creating an identification process. So something that is really simple and components in the game where guys follow a little bit of a basic format around their decision making. So if they're in attack, if they look up and they see A, they know to do 1, 2, 3. If they see B, they know to do 1, 2, 3 of B. If they do C, they know to do 1, 2, 3 of C. And everyone kind of learns that process. Now, we're not trying to create robots where you're wanting guys to go, all right, you always do A in this context, because every option's a good option. There's no right or wrong. There's just, hey, that would have been a little bit more effective, or that would have been a little bit less effective. And it's learning from a coach's perspective and a playing group to learn the communication channels and identify the game in a way where if you see shapes and figures and kind of things play out, knowing that, okay, if that defender's on my inside shoulder, if I do 1, 2, 3, this normally happens. Okay, so then the second guy can identify the same thing and go, okay, that defender's standing on A's inside shoulder, so I know that that's going to probably lead to 1, 2, 3, so here's our options. And together, two guys are now thinking the same kind of train of thought. They're identifying the same mistakes. They're identifying the same shapes. And for me, I think this is a huge, huge component to teaching a team how to work together between common goals when shit hits the fan. When your back's up against the wall, you've just been scored on 3 times, you've made 4 errors, you don't know what's going on, and everyone goes, oh, we got to get better, we got to rally, we got to do this. Well, what does that actually mean? Like, how do you change momentum in the game? And one big action can do it. It can come from one hit or one big thing. But 9 times out of 10, it's the grind. It's that grinding motion that actually gets over the top of teams. Sometimes you can have the big play, and that's great if you've got the person who can deliver it. But I'm being realistic here, guys, is not every team has that. But every team can create a grind and have the big play. The Broncos in the 90s were renowned for it. Just grinding out teams. If you don't play 80 minutes, you're going to lose. Because if you played 75, they were beating you in the last 4, because their decision making over the 80 created that 4 minutes where they came over the top of teams. Queensland, the underdogs, they did it all the time in Origin. So you gotta have a look at this from a coaching and a playing perspective around this to go, okay, how do we align our processes through decision making so that even if we choose the wrong play, we all choose the wrong play and it doesn't blow up in our face? So guys, I'd love to hear your feedback from this conversation. I know it's a bit wishy-washy around it's a really open-ended one, so it should encourage some engagement. But I'm really interested to hear from players' perspectives on how they communicate to others to be on the same page and identify what they see. And then how coaches can teach that and create that kind of communication and identification process in others. So guys, I look forward to hearing all your comments and feedback. It's Coach Curto. I'm out. Peace.